What's going on, guys? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back, and I do appreciate the support, guys. Listen, there's a story out of Lorain, Ohio, and it's about a man named Taylor Young, right? Tyler Young, correction. He's 29 years old, out of Lorain, Ohio. This man has taken his life, the life of his wife, who's a 24-year-old Skylar Young, his 9-year-old stepdaughter, Angel Isaac, and get this, guys, his 9-month-old son, and what's deemed a murder/suicide. Now, I'm going to play you this video clip and come back with a couple of things that you might not know. And I'm going to talk about around the holidays, how things can be depressing, and you see a lot of this happening. And I want to talk a little bit about why I think in this case, this was the outcome of something that could have been resolved, you know, as most conflicts should. I'm Steve. This is the Dynamic Reason channel. Let's watch this and come back to talk about it.
I'm Brian Duffy. Nicole is off today. The case is under investigation, and police just released new and tragic information moments ago. See a New Yorker working this story for us live now in Lorain at police headquarters. Sia, you have an update.
Brian, we just wrapped that press conference with police just minutes ago, and they told us that they are investigating those 4 deaths as a murder-suicide. Now, police say 29-year-old Tyler Young shot and killed his wife, 2 young children, and then turned the gun on himself. Let me walk you back through this case. They say that Lorain police got a call early Sunday morning about loose dogs running in the street near Broadway and East 9th Street. When officers went inside the building, they found 29-year-old Tyler Young dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, and there was a 9mm gun next to him. Now, officers also discovered his wife, 24-year-old Skylar Young, his 4-month-old son, Bandon, and Skylar's 9-year-old daughter, Angel, all deceased with gunshot wounds. We did some digging, and we discovered that Tyler has a history of domestic violence, including strangulation. Police confirmed that there was a history of calls involving the couple. Now, police are still investigating what they are now calling a murder-suicide, but say the loss of these lives is a huge loss to this community, and they are working with partners on resources.
It just makes you want to get to the drawing board and say, how can we make this never happen again, and really rack your brain to be a service to the community.
All right, guys, that's the sad news coming out of Lorain, Ohio. And stuff like this is always depressing, especially around the holidays, to hear that somebody then took the life of their children and their selves as well. But I want to talk a little bit about this situation and what makes people do this. For starters, before we even get into that, let's go back a little bit into this. They said this man, Tyler Young, or whatever, Tyler Young, had a history of abuse, physical abuse, with said wife. Now, they said one of the things that he had on his rap sheet as far as the domestic abuse was strangulation. So you could already see, coming into the marriage, she had a 9-year-old child, which was, I don't know how old at that time. The child is not his. Her name is Angel Isaacs, I think. And she came in with a child. Now, his child is just months old, right? Months old. Now, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us need to tell our kids, regardless of how old they are, you may think you're in love with somebody. You may think everything is sweet, but until you start having children, like, it's 2 things I tell my kids. I said, listen, there are 2 things you have to know that, that you'll know if you built for it or not. But one of the things, sometimes it's too late. One is, you never know somebody until you live with them. Another thing is, you never know how somebody was really raised, regardless of what they say, until you see what their rules on parenting are. And that's something a lot of people need to discuss. Or a lot of guys out here that are vetting women to really build with need to start discussing. Because I mean, there's situations where, people only a lot of times parent the way they was raised. Not saying like if you came from an abusive household, you would be abusive, but a lot of times the ways and values that were brought to you, the positive ones that you think, at a young age and privileges you had, you might not think that are that bad. But you gotta remember, times, people, way of the world is just changing. So, I mean, it has to be some universal rules and standards that you go by universally as parents to come together. And I think a lot of times situations like this happen. How many times you seen somebody say, oh, I'm living out here wild. If I get a child, it'll slow me down. No, a child only burdens you financially, emotionally, and physically. You have to give a lot of your time, a lot of your energy. It's not just about having a baby. The baby's cute. You're doing responsible things by, physically giving care. A lot of that comes from mental. And the reason why I brought up the mental care is this. Mental support and mental stimulation is also one of the things that I think is lacking in a lot of household right now, where people say, oh, I raised a child. Raising a child physically is different than the mental input you put into them. And that's the hard part. A lot of people don't understand. Remember, I say broken people, a lot of times raise broken people. It's like that. A lot of people are in the rat race. They're going around, they're dealing with life's challenges, bills, substance abuse, things like that. And a lot of times they pour it out on their children that are innocent and just there. They need attention too. Being a parent is a full-time job. And it goes from 0 months, 18 years. And sometimes after that, depending on how the people look at children, sometimes there are people that never leave the home, which is crazy. But I mean, it is what it is. This man right here had a baby with this girl. I don't know if this was the case, like he thought it would slow him down, or he thought it would like, make him it bring them closer together. Didn't. The part that's crazy is the whole thing that's lunacy. This man got a history of fighting her, history of her calling the cops. Why still fight on her? Why? Look at this dude, man. Look at him. Look at him. I mean, that's a bad picture. I guess they caught him at the wrong time. I mean, damn, you got locked up like that. So that means before, when you were doing the crime, you looked like that. Listen, guys. All in all, this man did some cowardly shit. I'm just keeping it real. You killed your 9-month-old baby out of rage. And they're like, it's like you get mad at somebody and then you wind up taking everybody out. What do the children got to do with the argument between you and her? Now, I don't know who brings on these arguments and these domestic situations between him and her. But I mean, you should have learned the first time after putting your hands on her that cops would be involved and things like that. Now, they said the dogs was wandering the street. They said dogs were wandering the street. I think a neighbor knew that those were their dogs and they were out. Maybe they wasn't approachable. A lot of times, I'm going to tell you something. When people are being battered and they have domestic people, where people fighting and going back and forth, it's a lot of screaming, a lot of noise and stuff like that. A lot of times, the neighbors hear it and don't say anything. That might have been their answer when they seen the dogs, presumably that the dogs belong to them. That was them, okay, do a welfare check, because that's not normal. And they might have said, hey, we heard arguing, banging, whatever. Another thing I'm going to tell you guys, a lot of times when you see these households where it's a lot of domestic, it's a lot of isolation, like isolating, like the woman might not talk to people. They both might not talk to people because they know people can hear this. And it's something you can't explain. So a lot of times people like this are dismissive to everybody that's around them. As long as nobody says nothing to them, they keep going. It's a lot of childish men out here and women that are in adult suits, physically. And I just can't believe on this level, this man just off this kid. Baby just got here. I don't know what the root cause of that is. I don't know. Maybe she wanted to leave, or maybe he's just with them tight. Because I mean, you remember back in the day, guys, we're watching movies, and there were people out there. Hey, you leave me, I'll kill you. I'll kill you and everybody else. A lot of women sometimes feel like they prisoners in their own home because they got this maniac dude that's with them, ready to lay hands on them at any given time. All in all, the whole thing is messed up. Little girl, 9 years old, wasn't his, had to watch her mom getting beat up multiple times. I don't even know if the dad is around or knows about this. How do you think the little girl feel? Powerless. And growing up, seeing that, a lot of times, whether they want to or not, those are the type of people that we attract. How many times have you seen a woman going through domestic situations and then they get older and then get to be in the same scenario as a grown-up? A lot of times is because, and when I say conflict resolution, people go back and forth. This thing escalates before it gets to the point of fisticuffs or physical damage. Children are watching this. They know the signs. They know, okay, this is about to get serious. A lot of times we would see on movies, the oldest kid will grab the youngest kid and take him in the room, and they're going there and cry and hold each other while motherfuckers in there beating each other to death. You don't think this goes into the subconscious of somebody? You know, conflict affects women just like it affects men. So you get a lot of times women get old enough and they deal with conflict and it leads to fisticuffs. Same things with dudes. Dudes be in abusive relationships, get these girls that just keep wanting to fight on them and stuff like that. Or not even fighting, it could just be mental abuse. Because he might be soft or he might be a certain way. I mean, we all attract a certain type of energy, but unless we built for that energy and like we deflect it instead of repel it, instead of attracting it and welcoming it, when we see flags, we doomed to repeat history. They should have never been together if he was fighting on her like that. And I'm sure before the 9-month-old baby came, it was a history of him fighting because he said he had a history. I think that was before the baby came. She could have been out of there. But then again, sometimes people be prisoners in their own home. It's an unfortunate situation. You never knew what them baby was going to be or how, strong a bond this marriage could have been. They had kept their hands to themselves and really tried to make it work. But I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. I apologize for standing up. I'm not home, in my studio. I'm out here in Charlotte. Shout out Charlotte, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. We're going to keep the train rolling. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. May these people rest in peace.